Friday, March 6th. I'm Linda Tamima. These are today's headlines. The Lebanese army confirms the arrest of Hassan Ghorli, a key ISIS commander involved in clashes with the army in Arsal and Ras Balbek. Labor Minister Sajan Azzi announces that only 47 of the 197 casino workers who were fired earlier this year are reinstated. And Iraq's Ministry of Tourism says Islamic State militants have begun to raise the ruins of the ancient Assyrian city of Nimrud. A Syrian suspect who was being treated at a Bekaa Valley hospital for wounds sustained in recent clashes with the Lebanese army in Ras Balbek has emerged as a key ISIS commander. The Lebanese army says Hassan Ghorli is one of the most dangerous detained terrorists. Ghorli was arrested on March 3rd for his role in the August battle against the Lebanese army on the outskirts of the northeastern border town of Arsal, and on February 23rd, attack on an army post in Talat al-Hamra on the outskirts of Ras Balbek, which left him wounded after soldiers repelled the militants. The army said Ghorli confessed he belonged to ISIS and that he had headed an armed group that pledged allegiance to ISIS in July of last year and made a decision to attack military positions following the arrest of Ahmad Jum'a. During interrogation, Ghorli also admitted he would take the place of other guards protecting the kidnapped Lebanese servicemen and moving them from one place to another. Labor Minister Sajan Azzi has announced that only 47 casino workers who were fired earlier this year were reinstated. Speaking at a news conference, Azzi said the rest will be provided with a severance package. In late January, Casino du Liban's management sacked 197 employees, arguing that most of them were not showing up to work, an allegation strongly rejected by the casino's unions. In response, staff members staged a sit-in at the premises of the casino and closed all gaming rooms for a week, after which a deal was reached. Reports say the deal offered by Casino du Liban's chairman in February stipulates that the sacked employees may receive severance pay equal to a 5-year salary with a $200,000 cap, but Azzi did not confirm or deny the severance figure. He only said the sacked workers will receive a financial compensation. U.S. Ambassador to Lebanon David Hale has lamented the ongoing delay in the election of a new president, urging the Lebanese factions to set aside their interests in favor of national ones. His comments came following talks with Interior Minister Nuhad al-Mashnouk. Have a listen.
I just had an excellent meeting with Minister Mashnouk, and a prime topic of our conversation was his upcoming visit to Washington. And we very much welcome his visit and look forward to senior level discussions on how we can further deepen security cooperation between our two countries. Lebanon is facing serious challenges and threats, and we need to be sober about them. The spillover of terrorism and extremism from Syria is not over. The harm to Lebanese stability caused by Hezbollah's violation of the policy of dissociation continues. Hezbollah's readiness to violate international norms and UN Security Council resolutions was made self-evident in January. Hezbollah continues to make life and death decisions for all of Lebanon, yet consults no one, is accountable to no Lebanese, and answers to foreign powers. We all know the difficulties brought upon Lebanon by the presence of so many refugees from Syria. And while the United States has contributed $660 million to date to help Lebanon cope with the humanitarian needs of the refugees and Lebanon's host communities, we know the stress is enormous. Economic trends in the country as well have been downward since the presidency fell vacant. Disputes over the election of a president have brought the normal functioning of government to a standstill. Yet this is a time when all elements of the state should be working in unison to address these and other problems in accordance with the Constitution and the National Pact. There is no reason for delay, and it's time to put Lebanon's stability ahead of partisan politics. There should be no expectation of foreign deals to choose a president. Instead of looking outside Lebanon for answers, we urge Lebanon's leaders to respect their own constitution and elect their own president on their own. Meanwhile, as you face these security challenges arising from Syria, it's important to look at Lebanon's sources of strength. First, the army and the security services have the will and commitment to defend Lebanon and are doing so with courage. Second, the Lebanese nation is united behind the effort to counter violent extremism. And third, you are not alone. You can count on continuous and meaningful support from the United States and others to ensure that the Army has the means to fight. And fourth, our common values distinguish us from these barbaric extremists. Our values are stronger than the false appeal from the extremists, and therefore we will prevail. And finally, the international community may have differences elsewhere in the region, but it is united in its desire to help Lebanon insulate itself from these external threats and conflicts. Tackling the threats will not be easy, but I am confident that together we will succeed. Thank you very much.
Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has formally invited Prime Minister Tamam Slam to attend the annual Arab League Summit, which will be held in Sharm el-Sheikh later this month. The invitation was handed to Salam by Egypt's Chargé d'Affaires to Lebanon, Mohammed Badreddin Zayed. Sources close to the premier said Salam will attend the summit, which is usually attended by the president. A senior commander of al-Nusra Front, the Syrian branch of al-Qaeda, has been killed by an airstrike by Syrian government forces. The Sana state news agency said Abu Humam al-Shami, also known as Farouk al-Suri, was killed in a special army operation in Idlib province. Al-Shami, a veteran al-Qaeda leader from Damascus, held the title of General Military Commander for al-Nusra Front. Last week, members of the armed group said he had been killed in a U.S. drone strike. But yesterday it said Shami had been killed earlier that day when he was in a meeting with other senior al-Nusra commanders. The airstrike came a day after the group claimed responsibility for a deadly attack on the intelligence headquarters of Syria's Air Force in Aleppo. Colonel Steve Warren, a Pentagon spokesman, said press reports of the deaths of senior al-Nusra leaders near the province of Idlib could not be confirmed. However, he added neither the U.S. or the coalition have conducted airstrikes near the location in recent days. For serious injuries following a plane crash in California. That's coming up next. Welcome back. Iraq's Ministry of Tourism says Islamic State militants have begun to raise the ruins of the ancient Assyrian city of Nimrud. Government officials say the militants have used heavy machinery to destroy the archaeological site, which is one of Iraq's most celebrated. Nimrud was founded in the 13th century BC and lies around 30 kilometers southeast of Mosul, which has been the target of U.S.-led coalition airstrikes on the militant group. Islamic State militants have shown little regard for historic sites, having destroyed a priceless collection of statues and sculptures in northern Iraq recently. Last month, they uploaded a video showing what appeared to be the destruction of some artifacts, some dating from the 7th century BC, at an antiquities museum in Mosul. ISIS claims the artifacts are symbols of idolatry. Archaeologists describe the damage they did as incalculable. A driver has rammed his car into pedestrians in Jerusalem, injuring several people. The incident took place outside an Israeli border police station on the line separating West and occupied East Jerusalem. The attacker was then shot and wounded by guards. Paramedics said they were treating 5 people for injuries after the attack. Opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been released from prison after serving a 15-day sentence for distributing leaflets for an opposition rally on the subway. The court had earlier rejected his plea for early release to attend the funeral on Tuesday of murdered Putin critic Boris Nemtsov. On his release, Navalny said that Nemtsov's murder would not frighten him and would not affect his opposition activities. Nemtsov was shot dead not far from the Kremlin last Friday in what many in the opposition believe was reprisal for his unrelenting criticism of President Vladimir Putin. No suspects have yet been detained in connection with the killing. Navalny was previously convicted in late December for fraud, given a 3.5-year suspended sentence and ordered to remain under house arrest until his appeals were exhausted. He has repeatedly violated his house arrest since then. Commander of U.S. forces and the UN command in South Korea, Curtis Scaparotti, has visited U.S. Ambassador to South Korea, Mark Lippert, who is being treated for a knife attack at a hospital in Seoul. Lippert needed 80 stitches after his face was slashed at a breakfast forum discussing Korean unification in the country's capital yesterday. The assailant, identified as 55-year-old Kim Ki-jong, denies his attack was connected in any way with the North. South Korean police said they were investigating possible links between a knife attack on the U.S. ambassador and the assailant's multiple visits to North Korea. They also sought to charge him with attempted murder. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry in Saudi Arabia for meetings with regional leaders said the attack will not reduce the U.S. resolve in pursuing its interest.
The United States of America will never be intimidated or deterred by threat or by anybody who harms any American diplomat. We will remain as resolved as ever to pursue what we believe is in the interest of our country and with respect to universal rights and values. I've known Mark for years, as has President Obama. One thing both of us could tell anybody is this man is as tough as they come. And as I told him over the phone this morning, the State Department is a family. And so we are all sending the thoughts of a family his way. We're sending our prayers his way, to his wife Robin and to their baby boy. And we are wishing him a fast and complete recovery.
The European Union says it will maintain a united stance on Russian sanctions over the Ukraine conflict, but the priority is to bolster a fragile ceasefire agreed in Minsk. EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini was speaking at a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Latvia.
We always stayed united, we always continue to stay united, so this is not always easy, but it is always necessary. We know very well, all our member states know very well that unity is our strength, is our most effective reaction. It's also our most effective action when it goes to positive measures we can put in place to implement the agreement, and also on sanctions we will stay united for sure. I can say, also out of my telephone call with President Poroshenko yesterday, that all the efforts we are doing on the ground in Kiev, with our delegation, with the support we are giving to the implementation of the Minsk agreement, is the way to go forward. What Ukraine needs now is not only the full respect of its sovereignty, of its territorial integrity, but it's also peace. And we have to work all together on these two dimensions, the full respect of the sovereignty of a country and a political solution to bring peace in the country. All the Ukrainians are very much aware of the fact that the humanitarian situation in the east is dramatic. Ukraine needs to move forward and is ready to move forward. And the European Union effort in that is, on one side, assisting the Ukrainian authorities, because we are doing that also when it comes to the reform of the security sector. We have a mission there from December 1st, so quite some months ago. But now we have to concentrate our efforts on making the Minsk agreement implemented. This is priority number one.
American actor Harrison Ford suffers serious but non-life-threatening injuries when he crash-landed his World War II airplane close to Santa Monica Municipal Airport after losing engine power. About 20 minutes after takeoff, he told the tower he had engine failure and was making an immediate return. The plane had reportedly been flying at about 3,000 feet and hit a tree on the way down. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. The Lebanese army confirms the arrest of Hassan Ghorli, a key ISIS commander involved in clashes with the army in Arsal and Ras Balbak. Labor Minister Sejan Azzi announces that only 47 of the 197 casino workers who were fired earlier this year are reinstated. And Iraq's Ministry of Tourism says Islamic State militants have begun to raise the ruins of the ancient Assyrian city of Nimrud. Those were your headlines for today. I'm Linda Tamim, wishing you all a very nice weekend.